guys, it is day 11 and today we're carrying on with the walls. So I'm doing it section by section. We've got the self-drilling screws to put the timber in that we cut last week, not the timber, the plywood. And I'm going to insulate the next panels while we're screwing those on, so hopefully we can then move on to measuring the next section. So we'll see how far around the van we get today. We've only got a couple of hours, but we'll see how far we get. So yeah, let's go. So these are the screws, the self-drilling screws that we've got, and this is the nut driver that the man at B&Q recommended. So what we're going to do first is test a small section and just make sure that it works before we actually stick it into the real wood. I'm just going through it anywhere.
I'm giving you some fun.
Oh, I'm not strong enough. I mean, I think it's going to work, but... Yeah! Solid as a rock, that. So we then took out the panel that we stuck in last week with just some regular screws to add in with the self-drilling screws. But we did come to a slight problem because the self-drilling screws that I'd got were actually too long for this section. So I managed to get them, they would have gone through the back of the door if I'd have actually tried. So we ended up taking this panel off in the end. And I'm going to have to go and buy some of the right size. We did get some even smaller ones at the end, but they weren't the right size either. So yeah, so it feels like a little bit of a step back there, but we did get some other progress done in the meantime at least. So it wasn't a complete loss of a day. At least I know how to get it fixed next time I'm up and at it. The good news is they worked really well on this section, so we managed to get this in looking absolutely perfectly. We tested it, opened the door and shut it and everything, and it looks beautiful. So really, really pleased with that. The shape of it and everything was cut perfectly last week, so all we had to do was just screw it on properly. Okay, so we're just going to start paneling the side wall now. We've got a bit of wood, but we're going to do it to where the thickest section is. So what we've done is added a bit of wood down at the bottom there, and then we can screw that to the floor and then screw the wall to that on the side. So hopefully that will be nice and flush and I can have a flat wall rather than paneling inside the panels, which was the original plan. But I reckon this is going to look better, so let's see how we get on. Yeah, I reckon. What's that?
It's a countersinking bit.
Does that mean that the screw goes into it so it's level?
Yeah, it makes an indentation so you can put the whole head of the screw in.
That's brilliant. That's a horrible noise. Oh, perfect.
Hey.
Yeah. Okay, so I've just filled this big empty section with the Kingspan that I've got. As you can see, there's still going to be a section before the wood, so I'm going to fill that with what dial I've got, so it'll be double insulated. So that's where we're doing it next. Ta-da! Yeah, excellent. Okay, so created a framework for the wood to stick to now, and We has wall. Well, we have a quarter of a wall, but we has wall. There we got some smaller screws to put this back in, because the long ones were too long and we're potentially going to go through the back of the door. And like I said before, that totally didn't work, so this is where we ended up. But the bottom two panels look great. Okay, so that's us finished on day 11, but we didn't get a massive amount done today because we were short on time, so we only managed to work for about 2 hours. So that's where we've ended up with on the progress on day 11. Rather than doing an extra video, what I'll do is I'll film day 12 next week and I'll release the videos together. So let's go to day 12. Well, that didn't work out very well. So instead of doing day 12, I ended up in A&E. I had an asthma attack that took about 10 hours to get under control, and ended up in hospital for 4 days. So I sludged. So I didn't end up getting to do day 12. And I'm in bed. I'm supposed to be back in work today, but I'm not well enough. So I'm going to take a couple of weeks off and get back to the van when I'm feeling a bit better. So yeah. Speak to you in a few weeks, I guess.